Intersex, as defined by the Transgender Studies Quarterly, is known as the medicalization of a failure to classify the body as one of two sexes. There are multiple different types of diagnoses of intersex, such as external sexual anatomy not being able to be identified as either male or female, or there are internal diagnoses that are not visible to the external eye, such as having XXY chromosomes. Because intersex is identified in a medical scenario, there are many ways in which people describe their variations. Some of these terms include androgen insensitivity, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, or 5-alpha reductase deficiency. Other non-medical terms are also used by an intersex individual to describe themselves, such as an intersex person, an intersex male or female, or saying that they have an intersex variation. Intersex is known to be identified at many different times, some knowing they are intersex at birth, while others don't get diagnosed until puberty or even later in life. Intersex people have a wide variety of sexual orientation and gender identity. They do not have the same thoughts or feelings about sex or gender, each individual choosing to express themselves in the way they feel most comfortable. Many have been expected to conform to social pressures about their sexual orientation, other people mistaking having an intersex variation to mean that they are gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. Most intersex individuals are born completely healthy. They are just viewed as different according to society's standards. This can cause pressure for them to somehow change their bodies in order to quote-unquote fit into society, which can impact their mental health in a negative way. Many intersex people can feel stress about their biological differences, choosing to hide this part of them. Intersex people at times can feel very alone and isolated, especially when it is first identified. There are also times when intersex people experience medical intervention that can make their mental health worse. This can be pressurized by both family members and doctors to conform to the sex they were originally identified as. Sometimes intersex people are given hormone treatments or surgeries to quote-unquote normalize their bodies, but many times this can cause the individual trauma and struggles with their identity. Recently, there has been more advocacy for counseling of intersex individuals in order to help them cope with any societal oppression they may experience. However, according to the Journal of LGBT Issues and Counseling, intersex individuals are still unfortunately viewed as an afterthought to these resources. Counselors seem to be advocates for LGBT people, but intersex individuals are rarely included in this advocacy. Through the study performed by the Journal of LGBT Issues and Counseling to learn about what intersex individuals struggle with and in order to make counselors feel more comfortable helping them, researchers found that coping was the main thing intersex people needed help with from a counselor. The participants of the study said they were bullied in both school and work settings, and many intersex individuals mentioned how they still struggle from past experiences today. The study continued to explore the idea of intersex individuals' feelings, body problems, and gender identity development while at school and work. The American School Counselor Association and the National Career Development Association both do not include statements about gender or sexual orientation relating to intersex people, which is why this study was performed to further counselors' knowledge. The next clip is a video of intersex represented in media, an episode of Grey's Anatomy focusing on the subject of intersex and the pressure from family members on how to cope with it once it is identified.
Externally, Bex has female genitalia.
She looks like a girl, but internally, she has both female and male sex organs.
So what now? What are we supposed to do? I don't understand.
Okay, the best news is that the lymph node tumor is benign. So physically, Bex is going to be just fine, but emotionally, psychologically, I strongly recommend therapy.
She's already in therapy.
I'm talking about therapy for all of you. This is not going to be easy for Bex to hear, and it's not going to be an easy adjustment for you to make.
A big adjustment. What kind of adjustment?
Many intersex people begin to identify very strongly with one sex, and it's not necessarily the sex they've been raised.
She's a girl. She looks like a girl. She has always been a girl.
This at least helps explain why she feels so different.
The point is, biologically and emotionally speaking, she has a choice to make.
Bex, we learned that your tumor it's not compressing an ovary.
Then where is it?
It's on a testes.
Like a testicle? I have testicles?
As you are able to see in this clip, many individuals are identified as intersex later in life and often feel pressurized to identify as their original gender. One thing that Grey's Anatomy represented wrongly was the fact that this individual is now expected to go through a surgery of one form or another and is expected to choose their gender, when in reality that is not what intersex is, and many individuals do not go through surgeries in order to change their bodies to fit society's expectations.